Thanks for joining us for Statutory Authority. Today we visit the National Solid Waste Management Authority. As their name suggests, this body is charged with the responsibility of waste management across Antigua and Barbuda.
The National Solid Waste Management Act of 1995 and again in 2005, amended 2005, mandates us to collect, transport, treat, dispose of all generated waste in the country. We also have the authority to charge where necessary, should a charge be required. We have the mandate to provide facilities at the ports of entry to ensure that all waste entering the island state is managed correctly. We have not only a legal mandate, but we have our social responsibility and the responsibility as individuals to ensure that the citizens and residents of Antigua and Barbuda are kept healthy, we're kept safe from any threat, whether it be microbiological or otherwise.
Spencer notes that the authority is moving towards a sustainable long-term waste management strategy.
As we grow as a nation, we recognize that we have a very finite space. We cannot continue to use and discard. We cannot be a society that just throws away waste. We need to find a use for such valuable resources. And now the organization is moving towards what we call a zero waste policy, where we are, and a circular society, where we incorporate the waste for some homeowners to make valuable pieces for others. And we will show you shortly a piece here in the authority that is made up and donated to the authority by Heather Durham, one of our own. And it is made up of quite a bit of discarded items, but it is quite a work of art. So we're looking towards a circular society. We're looking towards implementing much more diversion, much more recycling, much more reuse of products rather than just depositing at the landfill.
Notwithstanding, there are several challenges that persist in the business of waste management. Spencer tells us more.
The challenges in waste management are many. We have customs. That's a big challenge. People have developed customs over a period of many years. It has become the way they operate, and we are not always all open to changes. So the littering, for instance, is a challenge. In Antigua in the 80s, we had many dump sites, and people were accustomed to dumping. Each community had a dump site. People became accustomed to dumping waste in their specific communities, and it continues even today. Some of the challenges also would be payment of the tipping fees, and I must state that our tipping fees are not exorbitant. It's from depositing a ton of construction waste, which is as low as $5 per ton. There's some tipping fees that are as low as 60 cents. We have also issues of culture. We have issues of cost. It's a very high cost to manage waste, to dispose waste, to collect waste. And in some estimates, it is as much as $90 per ton for collection and transportation of waste, and a further $50 to $60 per ton for landfilling of that waste. So, and in a society where we perform somewhat of a social function, where we don't charge for a lot of the fee services we offer, it becomes quite difficult on the authority to keep up with the growing demand and the geographic expansion and the globalization of a small state. So we do have some challenges. We're working vociferously to try to arrest them, and we will be forced to implement small fees in some areas of collection. For instance, there is the fee for collection for commercial entities. That is something that we want to unveil this year in very short order. There may even be a fee for bulk waste collection because we do offer residential waste collection free of cost to every resident and citizen of Antigua and Barbuda.
The Solid Waste Authority is proactive in fulfilling its mandate. It now boasts a litter prevention unit.
We are given the task to patrol the act, to make sure that the act is carried out. It is the Litter Control and Prevention Act number 3 of 2019. And we started operation in September. However, I must say that the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment started this initiative, and then we took up the role in September 2019, and it has been going smoothly. We have a lot of work to get done, but I must say compliance is there. Presently, we have been working with the business places, and yes, they are complying. If you check in the city of St. John, you can see the difference from about a year ago to what it is now. That much waste is not on the road. We must say that the bins are being utilized, and that the business places are complying, working along with the litter prevention wardens to make sure that their waste are put out at the correct time, that is anything after 5 p.m., and make sure that the boxes are broken down correctly. We have been having discussions with Chancellor Board to include the Litter Control and Prevention Act in their exams. So we're hoping that this year that you will see 1 or 2 questions for those who are new drivers or potential drivers will be given questions and being able to answer those questions. So those are some of the things that we are doing on the back end.
Gordon notes that while compliance with the Litter Act is not at 100%, the improvement is significant.
From since September, when the wardens hit the street, that we are seeing a difference right now. We're seeing that the truck drivers, they are covering their trucks, they're strapping whatever they're carrying. You see people are actually putting their waste in the bins, and they are calling us, just like illegal dump. If something is being, somebody did something illegally in terms of dumping their waste where they're not supposed to, because we only have one official landfill, and that's the Cook Sanitary landfill. So they will call us and inform us that, listen, I have seen this particular truck, this is the truck number, and then we'll do an investigation in order for the person to face the consequences. But so I must say that the public is coming on board. We're not 100%, as I said, there, but we are getting there.
A critical operation of the Solid Waste Authority is waste collection. Ian Bailey is the collections manager at the NSWMA. He speaks glowingly of the invaluable service his team provides.
As I would dub them to be, one of the top of the frontline workers here in Antigua Barbuda, and probably throughout the world for that matter. It's a function that is utilized to collect the waste throughout the island. Most of my department concentrates mainly at this present moment on the household waste. And when we talk about the household waste collection, we're talking about mainly those that are generated from, let's say, between your small particles, papers, what you may use in the kitchen, and as I said, the organic waste and these kind of things. Those also can be broken down. You have your, what we consider to be now the bulk waste, are the bigger boxes, your old appliances, your beds and these kind of things. Those are of a different nature of waste generated. You have your commercial, you have your construction waste. Those are of a different nature of collection that is organized differently. And that, for those waste, those bigger waste to be collected, then you would make contact with the authority and arrange a time or day for them to be collected.
Bailey outlines some of the challenges his department experiences with the collection of household waste.
Though that we get great support from members of the public, the challenges that we're facing is also from the public themselves. It all depends on where folks are living, and sometimes we have challenges for the trucks to get close to the house. You know, Antigua is being developed in a way, and people are living in some areas, the roads are not always possible for the trucks to get. So what we're asking for some of the public is for them to, members of the public, is for them to get their waste as close as possible to the next best collections area to make it easier for everybody. The other thing that my loaders also face would have been when you have utensils that you utilize, for instance, like the drums that are used, or the barrels that are used when you're the shipment barrels, and you use them to make your waste utensils. Some of them are not bored at the bottom, so when you put them out and water is catching them, it makes it difficult because sometimes it all depends on the weather. They become heavy for the loaders to lift. I must say I have to commend especially one of my workers, Mr. Dale Christian, who went out, got a drill, went back into the public where his area of collection, and bore the bottom of his drums within those areas.
Maintenance also plays an important role in keeping operations running smoothly at the authority. Bailey tells us more.
I'm glad to have them as a support backup for my equipment, especially because we look forward of having our equipment in a working order and in a working manner to ensure that we have efficient collection. And, we see in the collection department that one day of equipment could be broken down and we're not able to go out and service the collection. The maintenance department plays a very integral role of ensuring that our equipments are in working order, they should be serviced every day on a daily basis to ensure that we have maximum efficiency and equipment working properly.
Now let's take a look at the sanitary landfill. Emmanuel Dubois is the general manager there.
In the early 80s, 90s, the region, the OECS, they look at sanitary landfills as one of the most efficient and effective means of waste management for the small island states. And Antigua was one of the beneficiaries where we constructed a state-of-the-art sanitary landfill. At that landfill, it's, as I said, sanitary. Environmental systems were implemented to ensure that waste is safely managed. Whatever goes into the landfill remains there and does not pose any threat to the environment. So what really happens at the landfill is we manage all incoming waste types to protect the environment.
Dubois explains how waste is processed at the landfill.
We have broad categories of waste that comes in to the landfill. In Antigua, as most of us are aware, we collect all waste types, and that waste is transported to the landfill via compactor trucks. That was one of the conditions for the movement of waste. So all residential waste would come in via compactor truck. So that waste would be first weighed at our weighbridge station. The information will be recorded by our landfill technicians in terms of where it's coming from, the quantity, and all the logistics in terms of the waste type that is categorized. Then that waste will be diverted to an appropriate area for management. Recyclables will be diverted to a storage area such as tires, scrap metal. Some green waste are also diverted, and other waste types would be buried into the sanitary landfill. Now the process is quite simple, but yet challenging. You have the waste would be tipped at a tipping point. The waste would be spread, compact, and covered at the end of the day with a thin layer of soil. That system will ensure that we have no pests, no vermin getting in contact with the waste, and thus not posing any fly or odor or other problems to human beings and the environment. Those that are diverted for recycling would be stored and then appropriately diverted to recyclers.
Dubois gives a breakdown of the volume of waste generated each year and explains what this means for the future.
In Antigua presently, we generate an average of 3.5 kilograms per person per day. Now, with that volume coming in, we have estimated that every 30 years, every 15 years, we would require at least 30 acres of land to construct a sanitary landfill. So we do receive very large volumes of waste because we have very little waste diversion activities taking place. This year, well, sorry, not this year, but 2020, I must say that we generated we had an increase this year by 3,000 tons over 2019. And the main reason for that was because we had a national bulk waste cleanup prior to the hurricane season. So whenever we have large cleanup activities, we do receive large volumes of waste. Our figures for 2019, we generated approximately 132,000 tons of waste. In 2020, up to December 31st, we generated 135,000 tons of waste. So we do generate very large volumes of waste for a small island state.
Dubois explains some of the reasons for the huge volumes of waste generated in this country.
We depend on a lot of imports. And imports, the products comes in with packaging material, lots of packaging material. So we, apart from the product itself and the byproducts of it, all the packaging materials that we have to deal with. We have the pallets, we have the cardboards, we have plastic packaging, just name the packaging material.
Looking ahead, Dubois proposes an alternative to the landfill.
We are of the strong scientific opinion that landfilling is not the way forward. It's a last resort in terms of waste management. We have to think of waste diversion, waste recycling, waste reduction. And we at the authority, we're looking at a zero waste policy where we can have no waste. We want to utilize our waste as a resource, something that can be reused, something of value, and not to be thrown away. For example, organics. Our survey concluded that 45% of our waste stream is organics. If we can utilize that waste, such as compost, then we can divert 45% of that waste stream as a resource, which is expensive, good compost for organic agricultural production. Look at our plastics. We can divert that. Our glass bottles, our cardboard, those wastes can be diverted. And that's the reason why we at the authority, we're looking at a zero landfilling. We're now going to implement a source separation project at a specific community in Antigua, which is the Fidget Creek community. That project will be having training activities where we can teach the residents how to sort their waste and do not put everything into one container and divert to our landfill. Let's divert it to recyclables. Let's see how we can utilize that waste to generate revenue, because it's no longer waste. We don't want to look at waste as waste, something to be thrown away, but something to be managed as a resource and to prevent environmental pollution. So we want to manage waste in a sustainable manner to protect the environment and to reuse and to reduce what we're presently generating.
Spencer gives some important advice to homeowners seeking contractors to dispose of their waste at the landfill.
When you hire a contractor to take your waste to Cook Sanitary Landfill, let them bring you a load ticket first before you pay them. A load ticket is proof that your waste was deposited at Cook's, disposed of in the way it should have been disposed of, and it saves you from litigation under the Litter Act should anything show up. For instance, if John Tom hires somebody to take their waste to the landfill, and we find a dump site and it has your driver's license or your utility bill, then we will come looking for you, John Tom, and not necessarily the hauler. And you have to prove to us that you did not knowingly deposit it there before you you can be absolved from it.
Let's look now at the Environmental Services Department. Shanika Joseph explains the day-to-day operations.
On a day-to-day basis, I take calls of different requests that persons may have any queries on the hotline. Persons may call for if they have bulk waste requests. We also take dead animal requests. Also, if persons may have missed their collections in their regular household garbage collection, we also take that request. For any other further information, you can always contact our hotline at 562-1347. That's our direct number that you can place your different queries that you may have pertaining to bulk waste, regular garbage collection, dead animals.
The Solid Waste Authority is also working towards a robust education program. Spencer tells us more.
The education unit, it basically should bring all our stakeholders together. It is that arm of the authority that keeps not only the members of the authority informed, but keeps the general public informed on the plans and programs of the National Solid Waste Management Authority. And it also should assist us with best practices, what is happening in the various jurisdictions throughout not only the Caribbean but the rest of the world. But we do have a school program that we're working on. We have a couple of community programs that we're trying to install. We have a few programs that are interdepartmental to fulfill our mandate as the premier waste management service provider here in Antigua. What I will say though is we do in 2021, considering we're entering a new phase of the exposure to the COVID-19 and the pandemic, we will attempt to roll out a lot of our educational programs, our school programs, our community programs, our partnership programs that we have partnership with other entities. So those are some of the things that we're thinking of.
On most days, residents across Antigua and Barbuda will observe small teams of landscapers working along the roadways. These teams are commissioned by the Solid Waste Authority through the Beautification Department.
Beautification Department came on stream in 2014. It was thought at the time that the verges and the highways of Antigua needed a presence, so to speak. And the administration commissioned a new department within the National Solid Waste Management Authority, the board. So the function of this department is to maintain, carry out sanitary functions, and to beautify public spaces. So these are the individuals who would clear the sides of streets, cutting shrubs, bush, grass, clearing drains, beautifying parks, public parks, and so forth. They also function within the communities to, whether it be shovel, or cut, sweep, the streets and drains, the sides of the roads, to create a healthy environment for our population.
Spence outlines some of the authority's plans into 2021.
We have quite a few programs ongoing now. We have a program where we are attempting to remove mercury from the environment, and by that we're partnering with a few stakeholders, some suppliers, to provide a light bulb holding container, storage container at their places of business, some government establishments, where the general public will be able to return used fluorescent light bulbs, and along with our partners, we will be able to safely manage them. We will be able to safely contain mercury, remove it from the environment. We have a source separation program going on in 2 communities. Fitches Creek is one of them, and also Jennings community. That is a program we're working along with the OECS Remlit project and the British High Commission. We also have, again in 2021, the BCRC, the Basel Convention Regional Training Center. We are providing a hazardous waste storage facility at Cook Sanitary Landfill. We also have a research project. This is quite new, quite exciting, where we are attempting through the Basel Convention also to provide a waste to energy plant at the landfill. And we're going to use the organics, food waste, green waste, sargassum seaweed, sewage to provide methane gas. It has the same caloric value as LPG or regular cooking gas. We can use it to cook. That's a project we want to kick off at the landfill. We're also working again with BCRC to start a compost program at the Cook Sanitary Landfill. So those are some of the programs we're looking to get started within the first quarter. There is also a program on sound management, removal of plastic from the marine environment that we will be looking at quite shortly. And this one, we're working with IECA on this one. We're going to be using hydrophilic plants, that's water-liking plants, to remove the nutrients before the waste or the water runs off into the marine environment. So there are a lot of things, a lot of exciting things happening. Of course, POPs is an ongoing project that we're working on along with the Ministry of Agriculture, and that's the management of persistent organic pollutants.
Spencer says the National Solid Waste Management Authority has had many achievements in 2020. These include the commissioning of a tire shredding machine at the landfill, the acquisition of 4 new compactor trucks, a national bulk waste cleanup, which collected 11,500 tons of bulk waste from communities, as well as the commencement of court proceedings on illegal dumping cases, which has yielded approximately $100,000 in fines with at least 6 convictions. Spencer wants everyone in Antigua and Barbuda to internalize this message on waste management.
Mismanagement is not solely the responsibility of the National Solid Waste or the Ministry of Health. It requires every resident of Antigua and Barbuda to manage their waste safely and soundly. And also, there is a cost associated with the way we handle our waste. If we, as a society, use and discard, the cost of managing waste will be much higher than if we were to separate, we reuse, reduce, recycle, we divert, we use articles for other simple but very effective measures. And I think with that we will see an improved waste management system. I think with that we will appreciate the value of some of the resources we send to the landfill.